dominant left.
Well, you know, I do a lot of archery, and when you do archery, most of the time I keep my left eye closed because I'm looking at this like thing called a peep sight, and I'm looking at it only through my right eye because I just want to concentrate on it, keeping everything like perfectly
Well,
level.
it's got to be you showed me the range earlier, so it's 40 yards.
That ranges, yeah.
So the trajectory of the arrow, or the whatever you call it in this case, is it the same? Does it meander, or is it like the velocity keeps it on the same trajectory?
Well, it's not the velocity that keeps it on the same trajectory, but there's fletchings, which you'd think of as feathers, or the back end.
Okay.
And there's different configurations, and different configurations provide more stability. Like I use a 4-fletch configuration, and so you have 4 things steering the arrow. And then you have broadheads that are designed to fly well. They're designed to have good aerodynamic characteristics. And there's like things about the shapes of the broadheads. There's a lot of debate about that. But the bottom line is then it's about the spine of the arrow, how stiff the arrow is. Depending upon how much force the bow has, you're going to need a stiffer spined arrow because you want a little bit of flex.
Yeah, because it'll be, slow-mo, it's a little flex, but I'm wondering, you're aiming at the bullseye and the trajectory is from the exit to the bullseye is like...
As it keeps going, it's going to straighten out more. That's the whole idea about the fletchings and the whole idea about the spine of the shaft. And when you shoot and you release an arrow, it's got all this force coming off of that string, right? And that's what's causing it to wiggle. Like as the nock releases and then the arrow releases from the bow, it's going to wiggle, but it's going to eventually straighten out pretty much. It's not going to be perfectly straight. It'll still have like a little bit of this to it, but very much like after you're getting after 20, 30, 40 yards, it's going to be pretty fucking straight. But it's very scientific. Like you have to know how much your arrow weighs. Like my arrows weigh 540 grains. And they're, 28 or something and a half inches long. So you have to like measure I have a 28 1/4 inch draw. And so then you have to put all this stuff into a computer program called Archer's Advantage. And you run it through a chronograph and you'll say, oh, it shoots 275 feet per second. Okay. And then you run all this information through this chronograph and then or through this computer program rather. And then it'll give you a sight tape. And then you put the sight tape on the bow, and you have to make sure that your 20-yard pin is dialed in correctly. And once you do,
is that what that?
It's like a wheel.
That's actually on sharpshooters.
Similar, but the sharpshooter thing is like much more exact because I'm not looking through a scope when I'm doing this. This is just a sight, so it's not magnified. It's just a pin, and the pin goes up and down to where 20 yards is going to be. So 20 yards is there. If I dial it down, like now I'm in 40 yards, now I'm in 50 yards, and I can do it up and down with a dial. So I can put it right on where 60 yards is and then hold the pin on it. And if I release the arrow properly, it's going to go right exactly where my pin is.
But it does take a little bit of calibration.
It takes a little bit of calibration. Yeah. Well, it takes quite a bit. I mean, you have to run things through a computer program, and then you have to sight in your 20 and 60 yards. Like you have to figure out where your 20 is, and then you back up until 60. And once you're super confident, then you put the tape on. And then once you put the tape on, now you have like everything from 20 dialed up to 120 yards because it's all done in math. It's all done in how much the bow is going to release with so much energy, but how much energy is there after 20 yards, after 30 yards. It's going to slowly start to drop and come down. And that's all calculated in this computer program that allows you to spin the bow to exactly where the yardage is.
And before they had that, it was just like, I don't know.
But no, before they had that, look, there's guys like my friend Aaron Snyder took a couple of years off of, he's a really good, like elite, top of the food chain bow hunter. And he took time off from bow hunting with a compound bow to just use traditional archery equipment. So he was using a recurve bow, and he still was killing everything. Because he's just a really good hunter, and but he also got very good with that bow. And there's all these videos of him in his yard of doing like these 40-yard groups with traditional archery, just all stuck in this like like apple-sized like group of arrows. That's very impressive. That's fucking hard to do, and that takes a long time. You can get proficient with a bow at like 20-yard shots where you can like get into this range. I can get you there in a day.
Yeah.
A day, one day at 20 yards with a bow where if someone teaches you the correct way to release and look through the peep sight, something close like 20 yards, I can get you there in a day. With traditional archery, good luck, bitch.
Yeah, it's a year, right?
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm not good at it. I shot it on vacation with my kids. It was hilarious. I was terrible. Oh my God, I don't even know how to do it right. It's like, I kind of know how to do this part because I use a compound bow, but it's so different.
It's like using a rotary phone.